Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff Coga. First and foremost, I would like to welcome you and thank you so much for being here today on this training. So, as always, let's do a quick sound and audio check to make sure you guys and gals can hear me. So, if you can see the screen, as well as let me know if you see me writing a smiley face right on the screen. Let me know in the chat box. Yes, Jeff, I can hear you and see the smiley face, so that way I know everything is working perfectly, so we can get right into this. All right, so cool. So we got yes, yes, yes. Liz saying yes. Lena saying yes. I can hear. Cheryl, cool. Smiley face in the house. What's up, Norm? Sounds like you guys and gals can hear me, which was the purpose of that. All right, so today I want to talk about something called your number one asset. All right. Now, why did I decide to do this is because of the questions that I've gotten, as well as some of the feedback from y'all who's been reaching out to me throughout the week. So I want to cover this, your number one asset, and how and why you need to start building multiple intangible and tangible assets in your business. And I'll talk about exactly what that means. And then also, because you asked, I listened, and today we'll have tons of case studies as well from people who in the last week or so are running campaigns, as well as some live calls from my organization that I will play right on the training today, so you can hear what happens when you have conversations with these sellers and stuff like that, okay? All right, so other than that, make sure to have a mic ready, or call in if you do not have a mic, so that way throughout the training we can have a conversation on here. I don't want it to be a one-way conversation. I like to get the engagement as well. And before we go into this, who has some results from a campaign that they have ran the last several weeks or so? If we actually see some of the people that I'm going to talk about, that would be super cool too. Let me see here. Do we got some people in here? Let me see. Let me know in the chat box if you have ran the campaigns. If you ask the question, is these being recorded? And the answer is yes, 100%. It is being recorded, and it will be available for y'all. If you want to actually physically get the recording, you can contact support as well to be able to get that. Okay, so. Let's go ahead and get into. Actually, matter of fact, hold on. We have one. Hold on here, Delana. Where are you at? Let's see here. Delana, are you there? Hello. Say hi. Delana. Delana, I can hear you typing. Delana, say hi. Delana. Oh, you just muted yourself. Okay. I don't know what happened there, Delana. I was hearing you. All right. So anyways, yeah, so if you got any, my sound's not working. I heard you in the background, so clearly it was something was working. Call in on the phone line if you can. All right. So let's talk about this, okay? Your number one assets, because it's really important for you to understand this concept, ladies and gentlemen, because remember, we're in business, and I always tell individuals that we're a nonprofit organization on purpose, right? Which is we run a business to what? Stay profitable, all right? But when it comes to growing profits, growing revenues, it's all about what type of assets you have. So my question to you is, what's your number one asset? Type your answer in the chat box. Let me know. I want to get a good feel of what people presume what their number one asset is in their business. Let me know. What is your number one asset? Keep typing them in. There is no right or wrong answer for this, okay? So again, keep typing it in. Well, we got Liz saying me. Okay, cool. Delana said database, your clients as well as yourself. Okay, that's good. Market knowledge. Okay, what else? What else? Come on, type it in. Interact with me, okay? This is very important to understand because we're going to tie this into how to physically grow your business, all right? And how to use these campaigns to grow your business. Ability to crunch investment numbers. Network is your net worth, all right? Time, okay? Money, all right? So we got a lot of mixing stuff, okay? And now there is no right or wrong answer. It just simply means this is how we perceive what our assets, number one asset is in our business. So let me kind of give you kind of a definition of what an asset is based on Investortopia, okay? Just for the sheer sake so we can have a kind of baseline definition of what it is. So what is an asset? All right. An asset is a resource of economic value that an individual, corporation, or country owns or controls with the expectation that it will provide future benefits. All right, and then it goes into a really technical answer and says, hey, assets are reported on a company's balance sheet and they are bought or created to increase the value of a firm or benefit the firm's operation. An asset can be thought of as something that in the future can generate cash flow, reduce expenses, improve sales, regardless of whether it's company's manufacturing equipment or patent on a particular technology. Okay, so again, that's kind of the technical answer. But the answer that I really like is it says, hey, it's an economic value that an individual, corporation, or country owns or controls with the expectation that will provide future benefits. Right? That's an asset to me. All right? I know someone actually said, this is Kelly said, my kids are an asset. Okay. Yeah, correct, right? So, all right, nothing wrong with that. All right, so now let's talk about this. All right, let me give a definition of this. All right, tangible and intangible assets that I like to talk about. I'm going to go super wide, and I'll give you some example on what this is all about. Okay, and if you have any questions on a particular thing, don't hesitate. Type it in the chat box because I would like to address those first up front, and then we go right into it. Okay, so tangible assets. All right, intangible. I'm sorry, is intellectual capital. Right? I'm huge on this. Intellectual capital. What is this? Okay, intellectual capital that I talk about. It's about knowledge, right? You're on here, obviously, to gain more knowledge, right? But also at the same time, when you hear stories from other people, I think, and going through the training, when you see the case study, guess what? You gain wisdom. All right? I'm a big advocate on continuously growing your mind, growing that real estate between the left and right ears, right? Because the who you are today, okay, if you want to get to the next income level, you should not be the same person. If you are the same person, then there's inherently something that you got lucky on, all right? Or it was a blip, and you're most likely going to lose that money. Ask me how I know that, all right? Because in an up market, it's really easy to make money, all right? Our true colors show up when in a down market. All right? I started in 2004, so I got my butt kicked and handed to me when the market turned, all right? Okay, so intellectual capital is knowledge and wisdom. All right, another huge one I believe is a huge part of intellectual capital is ability to storytell. All right, words are one of the most powerful things in the world, in my opinion. Right, language and words. Why? Because it can not only motivate people, right? So if you own a team, you own a company that has tons of people in your team, right? You have to motivate them. You have to inspire them. All right, and how do you do that? With stories. Right? It can also create what? It can also create what? Wealth, right? It can create money. It can create sales, right? Influence, persuasion. That's all part of it. Another thing is the ability to tell stories. It can also destroy things as well. Right? If you've been following what's been going on the last 12 to 24 months in our country, a lot of the news, right, or the CNN, I like to call it, right, the Crisis News Network, is telling a narrative about certain things that are happening in our country currently right now. And if you watch that, it can destroy what's going on in your mind, right? And I'm not saying don't be oblivious to what's going on in the world, all right? I'm saying, hey, have compassion, have sympathy, be empathetic, all right? But just know that the words that other people are telling can impact you, all right? So these are all intellectual capital, being able to understand this. Another huge one is being able to make a difference. Right, I'm a firm believer on this, if you've been following me for a long time, is that, yes, money is a means. Money is a means goal, okay? Creating something, as I said earlier, right, we're a nonprofit organization on purpose to make money, but we have to do good. Okay, we absolutely have to do good. And if you're on this training, I know that you're going to do good with the money that you create, all right? So that's kind of intellectual capital. And then the tangible stuff is what? I call it monetary capital, right? Really, it's a money. All right, or access to money, investors, credit line, things like that. And money allows you to become a multiplier, right? Like if you want to grow your business, you have to invest in infrastructure, invest in personnel, you have to invest in marketing, you have to invest in things in your business, right? And to do that, you have to have access to capital, either your capital or someone else's capital. All right, and bottom line is the tangible assets, when you have access to that, it makes a difference. right? We know this, right? As our income rises, typically, guess what? You're going to get out of the things that you're in, right? Like there was a time in my life where I lived out of my car when the real estate market crashed, okay? And the weirdest thing was I have a Mercedes-Benz, and I'm freaking sleeping in my car in the Mercedes-Benz with a bunch of my stuff in the trunk, and I'm taking baths at a bath house because I didn't have a place to stay, and I was too pompous and arrogant to actually ask for help from people. Right, so I would live there because, my character was shattered because I thought that, oh yeah, this money that I built and I had was who I was. In reality, no, right? The intellectual capital the wisdom I gained after reflecting back, now no one can take it away from me. Okay, so I'm telling you this kind of story to understand this, because the power of when you understand this kind of higher level stuff, right? You might think it's hokey pokey, but it's really important, because if you get this, then the rest of the stuff really, really becomes easy. Okay, so earlier I asked, right? What's your number one asset in your business? And for the folks who have responded back, thank you so much on that, right? For that. So let me give you a little bit more in-depth stuff, right? So intellectual capital, right? Knowledge and wisdom, right? As I said, this boils down to how to market. Another one, how to see trends. Okay, early adopter, right? Because you understand how to market, you understand how to see trends, you become an early adopter of what? Typically technology, or typically in this case of early adopting what? Things before they happen in the marketplace, right? And that comes with typically knowledge and, more importantly, wisdom, okay? And another huge part of intellectual capital when it comes to knowledge and wisdom is the ability to do things with velocity. All right, you'll hear me say this over and over again, velocity. And velocity is what? Speed plus direction. All right, for the sheer fact of doing stuff fast does not necessarily mean that you're getting results, right, in your business. So you have to have velocity, speed with direction, just to know, hey, what's that next domino you have to knock down to get to do that next thing. All right. As I said earlier, intellectual capital, ability to tell stories, right? So in this case, what you need to gain knowledge and wisdom on is copy, message, and vision. Right? So if you don't understand copywriting, you don't understand how important the choices of words that you use, not only when you meet sellers and buyers face to face, but your body language, right? That's really important. All right, for the folks who have knocked on doors and who have went on, getting contracts face to face and stuff like that, right? How you even stand at the door is as important as, hey, how you meet them, what you wear, that kind of stuff, right? Message that you use, the choices of words, right? But again, vision, another one, make a difference, right? Intellectual capital is connecting dots and not just doing something for the sake of making money. All right. Now I know that's hard if you've been through a boom and famine cycle, right? You're kind of like, I gotta make money, I gotta make money, I gotta make money, but trust me, okay? If you understand these assets that you have and the assets you want to build, it'll become a lot easier for other stuff, okay? So tangible stuff, money, I talked about a little bit about all that already, which is security and to serve others, right? If you have the money, right, you're going to simply money is not evil or bad. It simply amplifies who you really are. So if you give money to a terrible person, right, it's going to amplify who they are. If you give money to a good person, then it's going to amplify who they are. Right? And monetary capital is a multiplier. You get leverage, you get growth. All right? And as I said, if you have money, if you're a good person, typically you want to make a difference in the world, a dent in the world, meaning that you're going to be able to connect dots, not just doing something for the sake of making money. So if you heard my other training about how using data appending and being able to help people as we have these natural disaster goes on, right? All right? That's good in the world. Okay, so again, intellectual capital is really boils down to how to build social equity, see trends, and become an early adopter. Monetary capital, in my way of saying it, is that your size of your network is the size of your net worth. So for the folks that says, hey, my database, my thing, right? These are really important. So that's why I preach data appending, because that is the fastest way to grow your database with boom, a few clicks of a button. All right. All right, so any questions on that? Because we're going to go to story time here. And if you have any questions, type them in the actual chat box, and then I will try to answer them. And let me see here. Did you fix your phone, maybe? Delana? Let me see here. Did you fix your phone, Delana? Delana, are you there? Say hi. I hear you kind of moving. So if you say hi, it might work. I don't know. I hear feedback. So you may want to call in the phone line. Would love to hear the type of results that you got on sending the campaign out. All All right, cool. So let's go ahead and get into the next part, okay? So let's go ahead and get into story time. This is a story about velocity, all right? Speed with what direction. So this is how one agent and investor felt like she drank out of a fire hydrant and what she's doing about it. Sounds weird, right? But we'll talk about this, okay? And some of the mental challenges that we all run across and we all run into when it comes to doing something new for the first time, right? Because again, it's about, hey, someone can talk to you about, hey, how to, what is love or something like that, right? Like someone can explain that to you, right? Like, hey, what love is, what it should feel like, what it is. But until you actually fall in love, you'll never know that feeling. Would you agree? So it's the same thing when it comes to velocity, right? Is that until you physically go through it where you become comfortable with the uncomfortable, right? It's going to be a really, really hard thing for me to explain why it's so important to do, okay? So I'm going to attempt to try to impart the story and help you be able to, guess what, get through that hurdle to be able to put velocity as one of your to-do things and always focus in your business, all right? So let's talk about this. So here's a text that I got this past week, okay? And this is from Rima, all right? So let's read it with me. So it says, so now for my 638 records, I have 4,167 phone numbers. Do I hit all of them? Question mark, right? And then she put, thank you for the prior link. It helped because she was texting me about a question she had, so I just basically texted her back with what she needed. All right? And she also said, to release them 200 at a time and in 15 minutes intervals, I have to break them up in separate files of 200 each, correct? Right? Now, why did she ask that? Is because we're talking about a campaign, and I'm saying, hey, you know what? Just hit the list. And then she's saying, hey, should I take it slow, and should I break up the list? And then bottom line, I responded back and says, yeah, just hit all. And I said, you can break it up, but it's up to you. And I told her, I like to hit all of it, smiley face. And I said, some do only tier 1 and tier 3 phone numbers. All right. And then she came back and said, I missed my 12 noon time, so I'll wait until 4 to hit it, question mark. Right? So again, she's sending me this text saying, hey, I'm ready to launch a campaign, but because in the training, I believe somewhere in my training, I talked about, hey, when is the ideal time to do a campaign? And I said, hey, it's probably good to do it about noon time, and then when I do it is about 4 p.m. Right? Because I do it on like Wednesdays and I do it on Mondays, right? So she says, should I wait until that time? And what did I respond back with? I said, just hit it now. Right? I said, just hit it now. All right? Just hit it now. Right? Now, why is that? Because I want her to feel what velocity really is. Right? Just like earlier I said, hey, you're not going to know what love is until you fall in love. All right? So here's what happened afterwards. Okay? She responded back. Okay, this is like 3:25, right? So again, it's like what 1:31 p.m. came about, and then I said, "How's it going?" Right? Okay, and then about 2 hours later, she texted me back, and it says, "I should have broken them down because the phone was ringing while I was talking to people. I was like drinking from a fire hose and had 51 missed calls, but only 5 messages, and I picked up 10 calls myself." And it says, went on one appointment this morning, but don't know yet if this is going to work. I'm planning on calling back the people who did not leave a message. And I said, yes. All right? I said, yes. Okay? So look at this. She said she felt like she was drinking out of a fire hose. All right? So what did she actually do? All right? What did Rima do? Okay? She appended the data. Right? The list I believe she went after is an absentee vacant owner. Okay? That's what she appended. All right, and wasn't sure what to do, right? Because as she was going through the training, right, information overload, doing something new, right? She had some challenges with Excel and stuff like that, right, with data mining. So that's why this is the text that I said, hey, that's why she said, thank you for the prior link, because I sent her a YouTube video, basically saying, hey, watch this, right? Right? So she had some challenges, right? And then she said, hey, what should I wait? Because in your training it says, hey, I should hit it at 12 o'clock or 4 p.m. But basically I said, hey, just hit it now. All right, and then she simply hit the list. And then the results were what? 51 missed calls, talked to 10 people herself, and went on one appointment. All right, now she did say that what? She's not sure if it's going to work out. All right, but she went on one appointment. Right, with only 638 records. right? Where else are you going to get that type of response? Good or bad, okay? Right? I'm thinking that this is going to turn into a deal because I did speak with her over the phone for a couple minutes and stuff like that. So we're working it out, and hopefully this turns into something. But right? So my question I ask, and I'll ask you too. All right? If you were Rima, what would you do the following week? Come on. What would you do the following week? All right, come on. All right, for the folks who said repeat or get another list and hit the list again, you're 100% right. Right? Following week, same time, same day, get another record to a pen and hit it again. Right? Because here's the thing about these records, okay? And and it'll be answered, okay? And this is the question I have, another question, okay? Question: what is an asset Rima created? Type your answer in the chat box. By doing that campaign, right, for the first time, she said, I felt like I was drinking out of a fire hose, okay? What are some of the assets she created in her business? Right, so we got some people saying increased database, a system, right, like kind of like a micro system, right, being able to do it, and new experience and having successful campaigns, right? Okay, so here it is, all right. I kind of put it in green so you can see, right? Number one is a database, right? So she has 638 records and 4,100 phone numbers, okay? Now almost 4,200 phone numbers. Remember, people do not change their cell phone numbers majority of the time, unless they have to hide from someone, right? Like mine, I have my cell phone for a long time. Right? Ask yourself that, right? Who changes their cell phone number? How long? Let me know in the chat box. I'm just curious. How long have you had your number for, your cell phone numbers? Maybe since the times that Nokia was out, right? Or a flip phone. Okay, maybe the BlackBerry, right? I remember that BlackBerry. It kind of sucked because the balls would get stuck all the time, right? Like I don't know if you guys remember that, right? Like sometimes, like it gets stuck, and you're like, I can't scroll, right? So yeah, you don't change your phone number, your cell phone number, especially if you're in business, right? Like 11 years, 21 years, okay, 15 years, 17 years, 20, okay, 30 years. Woo, okay, yeah. So like 30. How is that possible? 30 years? Maybe that's a typo. I don't know how you can keep a number for 30 years, actually. Okay, but anyways, you've had it for a long time, right? So again, you've increased that, okay? And the other one is this, right? This experience, right? And this is the conversation I had with Rima because I called her and I talked to her right after this happened, right? And I asked her, what would you do differently? And then she said, well, I'll probably, she said, well, I got two options. I think this is what she said, right? I have two options. I said, one, I can slow down, the count, right? And drip the drops out, and then I can talk to these people, right? During a period, or I can do, where I can just let it go to voicemail and just follow up on the people who leave a message. Okay? But this is going to boil down to what type of business you want, right? And then what type of time that you have to allocate to this, and if you're actually strong on the phone, or if you're rather do the follow-up, right? It really depends on who you are. Like some of you guys and gals are in here, you guys are really badasses when it comes to the phone, right? Because that's all you've done for your career, right? Like you're just literally pounding on the phone and you're good at it, so you'd rather talk to people. If that's the case, with all means, do that. Right? But if you don't like that, and or simply you rather have it go to a voice message and follow up on the people say I want to sell, you can do that too. Right? So it's up to you based on what your intangible assets and your tangible assets. Okay? So in her case, she has this experience, right? Just like I said earlier, that you don't know what love is until you physically fall in love. Right? And then also get your heart broken, probably, right? Until you get your heart broken, you don't really know how painful it is, right? And you're just like, oh my gosh, I can't sleep, I can't eat, I can't think, right? Things like that, right? So you don't know. So it's the same thing as this, and when it comes to velocity, I pound people and say, get your first campaign done, because she will not be able to think of other strategies and other ways to be able to apply this type of marketing in her business if she did not experience this. Right? When's the last time you've had 51 missed calls on your phone, your cell phone number? When's the last time you've done that? Okay? I'll tell you a kind of a funny story on this, right? And for the folks, my grizzled veterans in here, you guys know this, is that the first time I did this, right, me and my buddy Joe, I was at his house, and we decided to do like over 20,000 records. Right, so I got to his house. I drove over to his house at that time. He's at a little condo, and we're just like, dude, I think this new campaign is gonna work, you know. This is gonna absolutely rock. And he was like, dude, let's go. And he's really strong on the phone, okay. Agent, investor, right? Been doing it for a long time, known him for a long time, right? So I went to his house, and I was just like, dude, I'm gonna get on the phone with you too. Right? Because I'm that type of guy. I don't expect other people on my team to do stuff that I'm not willing to do. Right? Not to say that's you have to do that in your business, but that's who I am, okay? So we set up the campaign where the calls would go A, B, A, B, A, B, right? And we, like me, just my personality, I said, you know what, let's hit it. And we hit it about 11 o'clock. I think it was like 11 or 12. We hit it, okay? About 20,000 records, okay? And our phone just lit up. Okay, literally lit up. And it was probably a bad and terrible message that we left, but our phone just lit up. And literally, we stayed at his house for about 6 hours that I am on the phone, he's on the phone, for 6 hours on the phone. Right on that, I think it was a Saturday, that weekend, yeah. Literally talking to sellers and stuff like that, and it was insane. Right? And then afterwards, we created some new systems. We figured out some other ways to do it, craft the message a little bit, right? That kind of things, right? But again, after I experienced it, I was just like, whoa, man, this thing, we got to change this immediately, but I see the potential in this, right? So same thing with y'all is the same thing. Hey, get your first campaign done. Once you get it done, guess what? You got your asset, you got your records, you got your phone number, append more data, and then keep on rotating it. All right? And that's how you get better. All right? Over and over. And hold on, let me see here. Where you at, Steve? Steve, you said something that was interesting. Hold on, where you at, Steve? So hold on, let's see here, because where you at, Steve? Steven, did you leave? Steve, I think you're muted on your side. Steven. And any feedback?
I'm here. Yeah.
Oh, say hi to everyone, Steven.
Hi.
All right, so you said something to me in the chat box, and that's why I decided to unmute you. You said great result for her, and you said I got only 2 calls from 341, one negative, one completely off topic, not sure what to do next. Right. So let me give you some kind of I have some questions I want to ask you, and then we can kind of go back and forth on this. Right. So now you don't have to say specifically what location or anything like that. Okay. But 341, what type of list was that? Refresh my memory.
It was a list for 2-story homes that have owned more than 20 years.
Yeah, you don't need to say that criteria. So, okay, so you have that, you hit it, and the call that you got back, what was it? Like when you said you got 2 calls, one was off topic. What was that off topic?
One was like, "Oh, hi, it's Aunt such and such." They thought it was somebody else.
Gotcha. And then what about the one that was negative? Did they just?
The other one was just very angry call about how he's on the do not call list and don't ever call him again.
Yeah, you're going to run into some of that, right? So, okay. So now, what would you do? Like, let me ask you that, Stephen, right? So in your case, you did it. You didn't get kind of the quite success that you were shooting for, or going on an appointment or something like that. So what would you do? Like, yeah. I challenge you, because I know you say I don't know what to do, but what should?
Well, what I'm thinking is the next thing to do is to do a different message on it that I've been waiting for a week. So hit the same list with a different message.
You can definitely do that, right? But remember, my recommendation is always keep at least 2 weeks to 4 weeks in between before you hit the list again.
Yeah, and that's why I haven't done anything yet.
Yeah. So my recommendation, Stephen, is if you have the ability to get a different list, right? And do it again, because it's about compounding. Because remember, if you wait 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks to hit that list again, you lose that 4 weeks of what? The assets you're building, right? That experience, that using this new way of marketing. So my recommendation is to go that direction, append another list, hit it again, and then start compounding on it.
Okay. Well, I just got another list today. So
okay, cool.
It's basically a geo farm list just around a particular listing that I can hit that list.
Okay, and then make sure you reach out to me. Let me hear the message next time. Because I don't think, did I hear the original message when you sent it out? I don't think you did.
No, I can send that to you.
Okay, yeah. So before you hit this one, hit it to me, because in this case, Rima actually hit me up, and I crafted the actual message for her.
Oh, okay.
So hit me
Okay.
up. Well, obviously, she gave her kind of like what she wanted. I said, no, change some few things here and there, okay? So hit me up, let me know, and I'll help you out on that because remember, it's about compounding and learning from this, okay?
Okay. Sounds
All
good.
right. All right, cool. Thanks, Steven. So Delana said maybe the phone's working now. Where you at? Delana, are you there?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, there we go. Say hi to everyone.
Oh, wonderful.
All right. So you ran not the DBC campaign, but you ran the email-centric campaign. That's correct?
The Get Business Now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the KISS email Get Business Now campaign. Great. So tell me, how many people did you send it out to first off?
192.
192. Okay. So only 192. Okay. And what was the mix of these people in here?
They were people that I haven't spoken to. You know, they're not my regular people. They're just like names that I collected along the way that really didn't go anywhere, and they weren't working. So I wasn't working the list. Wasn't working them at all.
So is that part of the 600 that you had that you constantly hit, or was it 300? I'm not looking at your student.
No, that's kind of a separate list because
so this is a completely separate. Okay.
Yeah, because this was the hey. Are you looking to buy or sell a house or investment property? That's it. That's all that I sent.
Okay. And then what type of response did you get?
I've gotten
when did you send it out, actually?
I sent it at like 11:40, right before.
Okay. You sent it out this morning, and then how many responses have you gotten?
5.
Okay, 5. Okay. And then what are some of these responses like?
What is with the contractor that we looked at a house, so that house is in escrow, and so he's going to keep on the lookout for me for other houses that come up.
Okay.
Somebody just bought a house in my neighborhood, so good for her. Somebody
wait,
says,
hold on. So you had them on the list, and then you just found out that says, oh, I already bought?
Yeah, she just bought. She just recently bought, and am in the middle of renovating. Smiley face.
How much was it for that one? Like 700?
She didn't say, but yeah, it's probably 700 in this neighborhood. Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
It makes me not feel good about myself. Like, why did I think not to keep her in the list? I mean, that makes me not feel good.
Yeah. It makes me not feel good too hearing that, because that's right there is like $20,000, $21,000 dollars easily. Okay, so you had the contractor. They're still looking. A buyer that you should have done the business in. And they just literally bought. What about another one?
Another one was an investor that now is looking for land to build a house. I mean. Okay. So that would be good because then when he builds the house, then I can sell the house.
Yep, you got it. Okay, that's good.
Another is somebody who is looking to buy the first of the year. So they're not looking right now, but I can, talk to them about actually the end of the year is the best time to buy. So maybe you should move your calendar up a little bit. And then the last person was take me off your list.
Okay. Now let me ask you this, okay? Let me ask you this because you brought up a good point on this, okay? How are you going to explain to this person that wants to buy in the beginning of the year, right, and says, hey, it might be good to buy at the end of the year?
Because usually I found that after Halloween, people start turning their attention to the holidays, going out of town, having family in town, so they just put everything on hold. Yet the sellers that are still out there psychologically want to be in escrow, want to sell their house before the end of the year. So they're more likely to make concessions, I found.
You got it. You 100% got it, okay? Is because, right, and this is what I tell people, right, is that you have to understand, right, that's intellectual capital, that she understands her marketplace, right, and market trends, because it's so true. Now let's compound the seller, right, specific type of sellers, right, in a condition where typically in the wintertime it slows down. Right? So I tell individuals that if it's in a seller, you want to go after what? Investors that are trying to flip out on properties. All right? Yeah. Not only that, but also at the same time, these investors, if you look at the deed of trust or the mortgage that they have, depending on where you're at in the country, if they have a high interest-bearing loan like hard money, they are going to be more willing to unload a property at a discount. And you can beat them up in escrow or when you're negotiating because they want to unload. Right? And then another one is that depending on who it is, like for example, boomers currently right now are selling tons and tons of property, is that they may want to take the tax hit on this side of the calendar year versus the following year, because they may start deleveraging, start selling property, like one after another every single year, and they don't want to sell two in a year because they're going to put them up in the income tax bracket, right? So these are things that we have to be aware of. So, but thank you so much for sharing that, Delaney. Any other feedback or suggestion for anyone else?
No, it was just, I was okay. We had a conversation yesterday that I'm not looking for perfection, so I just threw it out there, and it was really bare bones, no photo, no big, looking pretty, and my subject matter was hey, and that was it.
Yeah.
I got response.
Now, my question I have, since you brought that up, right, is so what should you do with these 600 people in 2, 3, 4 weeks?
We'll hit them again, and then the people that I don't get a response from, I got some info in today's webinar already that, and I did send it around 12 noon, and today's Tuesday, I guess I was going to send it 72 hours on Friday, set the same list on Friday, but I should send these people, get their phone numbers and maybe send a message to them.
So I would definitely do the number. Yeah. I would definitely do the number, the second one, right? The did you get this email to the people who didn't respond back, right? On 72 hours or 3, 4, 5 days later, and then from there remove the people who respond back, and then hit the list again with the same message instead of hey, change it to FYI or whatever, right? Like for your information, and then send it another 2, 3, 4 weeks down the road to that same list.
Right. Okay. Great.
Okay. So get in the habit of that. It's about calendars, right? So, so thank you so much for sharing that, all right? And hopefully y'all are getting some value out of this. Let me know. Let me know if you guys are getting value out of these stories, okay? All right, because I want to talk about the next thing when it comes to this, okay? And especially like the last one, right, where Delana was talking about how they just bought. Okay, they just bought. Like for me, that's like I get like little knots in my stomach, when I hear that. Okay, because that's look, like it still happens with me too, right? We market hard, okay, but it still happens to me too, right? And one of the reasons why I became so religious on sending campaigns, right, over and over and on a calendar and hitting them, right, is the concept that I don't want that to happen, right? I do not want that to happen. Now, sometimes when we're doing these campaigns, right, people will ask the question, well, Jeff, I feel like I'm bugging them, or I feel like I'm doing way too much of this, right? And I tell individuals, it's like a commercial that you watch on TV, right? Like, that commercial, you might watch it, multiple times, but sooner or later, if you are ready and you're in that position, you're going to be like, oh, yeah, and you're going to respond back. Right? Okay, so just hit the list, as I tell people, right? Hit the list. Until you get accustomed to hitting it over and over, then we can have really, really high-level conversation about how to hit the list, right? Like some of my clients, grizzled veterans who's been hitting the list and they get really on a calendar and they're hitting it over and over. Now we can have, deeper conversations about can we craft it differently? Right? The copy, change it up a little bit, sequencing a little bit, right? Can we make it where it's more of, we do some behavioral marketing, right? Based on the behavior that someone does when we do these campaigns, we can send different messages, right? Like these are all really sophisticated stuff, but you have to first get accustomed to just hitting it. And when you do that, things are going to move a lot faster, all right? So let's talk about the next one. Story of resourcefulness. And how one agent finally stopped the boom and famine cycle of growing his business and stopped asking the question, I can't do this. Right now, I decided to include this particular case study in the story that I want to talk about is because we're going to talk about something first off, a very high-level concept, but also at the same time it's really important to understand in our business because our business is very unique in a sense than other businesses, okay? Like I own a e-commerce business, an education company, and I invest in, like private money lending and things like that, right? So, but the real estate business as a whole, okay, has something, a constraint that's different than any other business, all right? And it's called the DOM constraint that I like to talk about. And then I'll tie into the story of the resourcefulness and how to stop the boom and famine cycle, okay? And the DOM constraint is something that's based on the days on market constraint. All right? And I want to talk about this because this is going to be one of the things where you have to understand. And when you understand this, it's going to change the way you market, hopefully. Okay? So what is the DOM constraint? The days on market constraint. Let me talk about this, okay? Because this constraint, just like the word constraint, is literally shackles. It's a chain that's really ties your hand, all right? That it's really challenging to actually break free of, all right? Sometimes we like to think that we could, but it's really, really challenging, all right? And because of these constraints, guess what? Sometimes if you don't understand this constraint exists, then it is going to limit your ability to be able to make money or to make more of that money or your income if you don't understand this. All right, this constraint. All right, now, what is the DOM constraint? Okay, because understanding the timeline of a transaction is key. All right, I know this may sound basic to some of y'all, especially my grizzled veterans in here. Okay, all right, but stick with me on this. All right, if this is the first time you hear me talk about this. Okay, so let me talk about this. All right, timeline of a traditional transaction. All right. And this is obviously, disclaimer, not drawn to scale, okay? It's not, it's not drawn to scale, all right? So it goes from left to right on the timeline of a traditional real estate transaction. Traditional, meaning like you're on the sales side. If you're an investor, rehabber, developer, or doing mortgages, it might be slightly different, okay? When it comes to the DOM constraint, I'll talk about why, okay? But if you're in the sales side and you're doing this constraint is really going to limit your ability to grow, and I'll explain why, okay? So what happens, right? You get a lead. Right? In our case, what do we talk about? A lead is what? Simply a way to contact individual, right? A name, address, or what? A way to contact them, phone number and email. Okay? Now, depending on how you're getting the lead, like if you're doing PPC, you're doing direct mail, right? Versus like data appending or something like that, right? That here could be a question mark, okay? But for the easy sake of case, for the process of understanding this timeline of what a DOM constraint is, let's just say, hey, phase is what? The first phase is a lead. You got to get a lead. And then from there, what happens? Okay? You have to now get into a conversation with this actual lead, and the lead then turns into a prospect. Would you agree? All right? Then once it's in a prospect, okay, if it's on the kind of the seller side or even the buyer side, then they decide to actually sell or they decide to buy, right? They should probably say list or buy, right? Okay, and then you have to do your thing of being able to market that stuff, okay? And then you got to sell the house if it's the listing side, right? And then that's selling the house, you get a buyer accepted, right? And then you have contract to clear to close, right? Clear to close. Okay, now this is kind of the process that we go through. All right, now the question I have is, where is the constraint? A constraint that we ultimately, majority of the time, we don't really have that much control over. Can anyone guess where that constraint is? And why I call it the DOM constraint? I kind of give it away when I say DOM constraint. Lead to prospect, not necessarily, right? Because remember, lead, not necessarily. The DOM constraint is literally here. All right? From the time you list the property to you actually cash the check, meaning check to HIP National Bank. Okay? Why? Is because days on market. Right? We all have a days on market. So let me know, what's your days on market in your local marketplace? Type it in the chat box. All right? Type it in your chat box. All right? Type it in the chat box. What's your days on market in your marketplace? All right? Please understand this, okay? This is really important to understand, okay? From the time that you list and it actually closes, all right? So we have people saying 45, 21 to 30 days, less than 15 days, 68 days, 73 days, okay? Whoa, where are you at? This is a new name I haven't seen. 115 days. Whoa, okay. So let's just say, for example, if my average days on market is 60 days, okay, that means I have to sustain my lead and contact for, 60 days, all right? Otherwise, I'll see a drop in income. Does that make sense? Because remember, right? Yes, we'll have those things that are outside of the average or the median days on market, right? We have our outliers, right? Where hey, you know what? Things might close in 5 days. If it's a cash deal, it's an ugly deal, right? Someone's really, really bad ugly deal where something happened and it closed a lot longer. But everything regresses back to the mean, right? Regression of the mean, as they like to call it, right? In the world of you analytical people, right? So it always goes back to days on market, the average, okay? So in the sense of, for the folks who said, hey, you know what? My average days on market is 45 days, right? So then this question mark here, right here, all right? Because let me back up. Is this, okay? Is that the days on market means that what? Everything I do today is for money 60 days from now. Right? So if our days on market is 45, everything you day from the time you list, you get the money, 45 days or 68 days or 15 days or 21 or 30 days, right? Okay? Now, if it's a much shorter days on market, that means that probably a lot of it's going to be the lead to prospect thing that you're going to run into, or prospect to list issue. And we'll talk about a lot of that as well. Okay? So, and remember, this is not including the lead generation timeline, the lead to contact, right? Or lead prospect to list timeline. All right? And this is one of the reasons why people go through a boom and famine cycle in real estate. All right? So imagine this for a second, okay? For direct mail, and I've sent out a lot of direct mail, okay? Is until I started tracking this, it didn't make sense to me, okay? Is that the time that I would send out my first direct mail campaign, I would track it. Okay, I hit a list, I would track it. The first time I sent it out, I would send out multiple ones, right? Like 7 of them right behind it. And then from the time that I physically go on an appointment, I would track that. And then from there, from the time that I go on an appointment, I'll track how many contracts I get, right? And what time frame. And then from the time of time frame from contract, I'll figure out, hey, how long did it close to actually close the deal? Okay, and then I also included a timeline on there because that was from an investor, developer perspective, right? From the time I actually closed it to the time that I actually made money, right? From either from just simply pivoting it to a listing, or simply wholesaling it, or simply buying it and flipping it, right? And when I found out that the average, right, came out to be almost about 6 months, right? 6 months. It was the craziest thing ever when I started tracking it. So it dawned on me. It says, no wonder my income is plateauing. Is because I would do a direct mail campaign, and then I would do my 7 campaigns, and then I'll do my 7 later on. And remember, every week I'm sending it out, right? So it's on a cycle of week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6, week 7. All right, so it's about like a month and a half, a little bit over a month and a half cycle, then I'll do a new campaign. So every quarter I'm literally doing like 2 campaigns only. Versus if it's every 6 months, I need to be doing a new list every what? Month to have 1 closing. All right, hopefully that makes sense. Does that make sense? Let me know. So to get out of the boom and famine cycle, you have to understand that. Okay, is that you have to sustain the marketing. Otherwise, you're going to go through a boom and famine cycle, and or you're going to miss opportunities of market cycles. Okay, so that is the reason why I say, hey, get a new list, hit the list, wait 2 to 4 weeks, get a new list the following week, hit the new list 2 to 4 weeks, and then keep on compounding it. Okay, now, did you guys get that? Because I want to talk about the next part. Because this is really important to understand. And this is one of the reasons of being resourceful really comes into play. Now, clearly, if you're an investor, wholesaler, that kind of stuff, right, it's a little bit different. And as well as if you're on the mortgage side where you can actually, do refis and stuff like that, right, and you're not stuck with just that location, then obviously you got different ways to be able to, guess what, generate income from different states, different areas that you can farm, right? So. How many lists will I be working when I'm in the groove? My answer to that is many lists as you can, right? That you can actually do, right? That's the goal that you should say, right? That's kind of like saying like how much money should I make, right? That's the question that you're asking. Really is like, hey, make as much money as you can possibly do without lying, cheating, and stealing from people. Okay. All right. So again, but you got to have that mentality. Okay. So here's an example. Okay. So here's a text I got this past week. Okay. Because this particular person got into an issue about, closing a deal and then got into kind of the boom and famine, right? You close a deal and then it's kind of like, oh, okay, I got to invest in data, pending, marketing, and things like that, right? They're running into challenges and issue, right? So I suggested to say, hey, you know what? Start leveraging OPM, other people's money. All right, that's what I started saying. Okay, so I ended up telling them to go do this particular thing to build up their credit lines, right? Try to consolidate some of their debt that they have to drop down their monthly expenses and stuff like that, right? Again, if you run a big business, right, and you're doing that, you look at your P&L over and over, and especially like on a quarter, you look at it and be like, okay, where's the money coming in from? Where's the money going, right? You look at it and you crunch the numbers all the time, right? So again, if you're not doing that at a personal level, then you definitely need to do that, okay? So I get a text back that says, ha, I finally got a line of credit from a major bank, $8K from Wells Fargo. My credit is now in the 700s now. I just got to go back to 2008 to buy a house or 200K, LOL. All right? Why? Is because he wants to buy a house, okay? And I says, nice. I said, go open another one from a different bank. And says, yeah, I'm going to open one with JP Morgan Chase, right? And then I responded back and I said, hey, looking at the macroeconomics, banks are going to get looser on credit. Government's trying to deflate but need to push for people to spend, and make sure to take notes on what you put at income, and 3 months from now request to increase credit limit. Use one credit card at a time and pay it off, right? And then he responded back and said, hey, Discover just raised me to 9K as well. Right now, why am I telling you something about like credit cards, okay? Why am I telling you something about, hey, managing your debt? Why am I telling you something about how to leverage OPM, okay? Because if you say, hey, I cannot sustain it because of cash flow issues that you're running into your business, okay? Meaning like if you're an investor and developer or something like that and you're doing flips and money's going out for construction costs, right? You're going through a boom and famine cycle, you have to have access to capital, right? You're running a real estate business. You want to keep on marketing so that way you don't tap out, right? These are really important things to do. So I responded back and I said, hey, dude, I said, and then they respond back and says, hey, I just opened another card for 5K too. A couple of cards are paid off now. I would try to use one of the bigger ones and consolidate to 0%, then attack it. I know I'll do this week. Okay, so a couple things, okay, resourcefulness. In leveraging this credit, right, to not pay down, also pay down your debt, but also to use it for what? Acquiring leads. Right? Not services, product or services, because this is where a lot of times people do, right? They go out and they buy this little widget or CRM and they try to, think that that's going to really help them go to their next level. But I always tell individuals, hey, if you have the option of buying a service or CRM, then I say, hey, go get the data instead. Right? Go get the data and append it instead. All right? Spend your money, because why? People do not change their cell phone numbers. Right? They do not change their cell phone numbers. Okay? So we went back and what did Chris do? Okay? Got a deal closed and was waiting for a deal to close. Okay? So he can scale. He needed access to capital to sustain marketing. Right? Because remember, we said hit a different list, hit a different list, hit a different list. But the challenge was what? He has bad credit. Right? Because he was affected by the downturn. Still hasn't recovered from that. All right. So I told him to do a rapid rescoring, right, on his credit to get a higher credit, and told him to start contacting the banks to increase credit limits. Now, why did I do that? Okay. One is if you do the rescore, right, rapid rescore, your credit score is going to go up, and then go get new credit lines with 0%. Right, for like 12 months, 18 months, right? Tons of stuff are like that is happening now, right? And then he got to Discover to raise limit to 9K. And he's also going to consolidate his credit card debt to pay it down, and then also will leverage the 0% to acquire data / append data. All right? Is this making sense? Let me know in the chat box. All right? Because sometimes people say to me, they say, hey, Jeff, I thought this is all about marketing stuff. Yeah, but marketing, yes, correct. But ultimately you have to be able to run your business as a business, and then really run it with understanding where your leverage points are, okay? Because if you don't, like, if you're just simply using cash to simply get like data and stuff like that, right? And then you rather have the cash on your side. Okay, like for example, right, like I went on last year, right, because I had to pay Uncle Sam tons of money in taxes, right? So as I'm doing my review on it, I'm just like, dude, I got to expense some more stuff off. So guess what I did, right? Instead of paying Uncle Sam, tens and thousands of dollars, okay, what did I do? I ended up acquiring data. I started appending tons of data in different parts of the country, because I knew sooner or later I'm going to be able to make money off of it. Instead of giving the money to Uncle Sam, I said, hey, you know what, let me do that, right? It's like a different concept, right? Some people do what? When they have to pay, they'll go buy a Mercedes, right? They go get a Mercedes S-Class, right? I was actually going to do that. Like I was going to buy S-Class for myself, right? And my wife was going to get a new car as well. And we were going to do that. I was going to expand my office, but instead I said, nah, you know what? Where we're currently on the marketplace, I've already felt the downturn. Let me actually acquire data and cell phone numbers because those aren't going to change. And I did that instead. Okay? So again, playing chess versus everyone else is playing checkers, right? Different way of thinking. Okay? Now, I'm not saying, hey, if you want to go out there and buy a brand new car or something like that, that's wrong. That's not what I'm saying. That's just who I am, and that's how I roll. Okay? So again, just look at it, get a different perspective of this, okay? Because he was basically saying like, hey, dude, I can't do it until this deal closes. Because I have to pay this debt stuff down. I also have to eat. I have to survive, right? So I can't do a next campaign. I'm just like, dude, do the next campaign. This is how you do it. And we made some tweaks, took action. Now they got a credit line, and then now they're even consolidating debt to bring down their monthly expenses down, right? Because if you're paying 15% on a credit card, that's ridiculous. Move it over to 0%, right? Okay? So things like that. All right. So question: what is an asset Chris created by doing this? What is an asset Chris created by doing this? This one's a little bit more trickier. Yeah. Using OPM, right? Use of credit, use of money, all right? Running it as a business, understanding where are the leverage points in your business, all right? So just like here, right? Boom, right? Talking to the banks to increasing it, right? Not going through a feast and famine, right? Also, how to leverage the 0% credit cards, all right? Those are huge, ladies and gentlemen. Those are huge, right? The 0% stuff. That saved my investment company actually using that 0%, right? So, because literally it's like free money. You're not paying interest other than like the 3% or 4% transaction fee that you're paying, right? Okay? So when it comes to advertisement, I recommend individuals to do that, right? It's just like, hey, if you can get a 0%, might as well get that 0%, use it for leads, okay? Not for products and services, okay? Not for products and services until you get to a certain income level, right? Then you can get like more higher level coaches and stuff like that, right? And you can do that, but until you get to that level, right, use and leverage that debt for other stuff, right? And then you're able to now leverage that and be able to do tons and tons of different stuff, okay? So, all right? So any questions so far? Because we're going to go into now the second part of the training where we're going to start hearing some calls. All right, here we're going to start hearing some calls. Let me see here. Where do you get the data, Cheryl? It's in the training. We talk about it where, but it's really instead, the question is, where is the data? Right? That's the better question that you should ask, which is, it's literally in the MLS. It's in public records, right? The free data, right? And then the data pending company, we talk about how to reach out to them and which one I use, right? So it's all in there. Can you get phone numbers by just providing emails? Very difficult to do, yeah. Very difficult to do. Liz, yes, I am. That's the only one that I'm using. So let me see here if there's any other questions. Let me try to go through the questions. Which module? It's literally in there. Like if you go in there, it'll say, hey, either data append or how to get the lead or something like that. Yeah, I forgot exactly what the name was, but it's in there. Yeah, it's in there. That module is in there. Yeah, we go really in depth on that. So. Let me go through some other questions. Grizel said, I just found out someone from my contact bot. Oh, that sucks, Grizel. And also, make sure you look under the update section, right, with the vendors, okay? There should be a tab or a message on there, the update, okay? You want to use the updated companies, okay? Updated companies, all right? Updated companies. Okay, updated company. I said it 3 times. So, all right, use the updated one because that's the one that I'm using. Okay. And if there's right, so cool. All right, so let's go ahead and go to this next part, okay? And I'm going to take a sip of water here. Let me know in the chat box, ladies and gentlemen. Do you guys want to hear the calls? Let me know. Let me know. We're going to do some calls. We're going to play some calls on live calls. So, yeah, we're going to hear some live calls. So, let's hear them. All right, cool. Okay, so, yes, I want to hear. All right, so what I'm going to do is this first, okay, is I'm going to play it all the way through, all right? Now, as I'm playing it, the audio all the way through, what I want y'all to do is to type in where this particular gentleman could have done better, all right? Or what did he do well, okay? What did he do good? What did he do bad? And then rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. All right, 1 to 10. What would you actually score this particular call? And then we'll go backtrack, and then I'll cover what I did to train him up on some of the areas that he could have been a little bit better on. All right? Because you guys and gals said, hey, you want to hear some calls and how you actually get better, so I'm going to play this. So again, promise me as you're doing this, keep an open mind, open ear, obviously, hear the calls, and then type in the chat box what he could have done better, what he's doing well, and then from there, put in a score of 1 to 10. Got it? Let me know by saying aye, aye. All right, cool. Aye, aye. Yes, someone put the. So, all right, so let's do this. So, I'm going to play this right now. Hopefully.
Hey, this?
Yeah.
Hey, sorry about it. My name is Kevin. I'm a real estate broker in the LA area. I just want to see if you have any interest in selling a property at Pekin Street. I'm sure you know that we are at the peak of the real estate market again.
I am. You know, I started looking into the properties to purchase. I was going to put some money on buying a property, but I'm willing to hear what your offer is, or what you guys are in the market with.
Yeah, so I would, come out, check the condition. It's not in the same condition as you bought it in 2015, right?
No, it's remodeled completely.
Yeah, because that's going to be a lot of work that can be bought it. But, we just sold the one off of Mott Street that was completely remodeled. We sold another property off Gless Street, Gless Street.
Yeah, there's the alley. Yes, what's like, what, 420? 430?
Yeah, 435, yeah.
Well, you guys remodeled the inside? Not sure what, I seen the posting, but I really...
Yeah, that one was fully remodeled, and that one is about like 400 square feet smaller than yours.
Yeah, mine's about 500 square feet with an added kind of laundry room, so that's not part of my square footage.
Okay.
But just roughly,
yeah, you'd be in the high floors, man.
Actually, if I sold it, I'd probably be the 510, if anything.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, so I'd probably say in the high. Permitted is at 3-1.
Yeah, permitted. I got about 1,100 square feet permitted.
Yeah.
So, and I have a den in the back that's not permitted. I have a den in the laundry room. I know that doesn't really count, but when it comes to buyers, we don't. If it's just a den.
Exactly, but when a real estate appraiser appraises it, he'll give you value of what's permitted. Unless you go to the city and get it permitted, but they're going to reassess your property taxes and you're going to go through that fast. But, did you have any interest in? I'm
not going to get it permitted. I know that if I put it in the market myself, even with the other 300 square feet that aren't permitted, people put value on that. So, like you said, even though real estate realtor yourself might not put value on it, people personally.
No, appraisers, not me, appraisers.
Yeah, but
because anytime when you're getting the loan, the buyer gets their own appraiser and they do their own value.
Oh yeah, I know. So, Yeah, so either way, I set it at 490, but I know I believe get 5 for it. I've gotten other offers before to my house, so I know.
You trying to get for 490 then?
No, like I said, I know I'll get 490 for it. So, and if I know that put it out for bids, I'll get offers and then go bid higher. So I know I wouldn't take a straight 490 offer.
Exactly. I'm a real estate agent. I'm a real estate broker in the area, and I sell plenty of homes. I can help you get, the price that you want if you're interested in getting top dollar right now.
You know what? I am willing to consider it. I still need to find other properties I'm willing to, of course, I can't just move out and live in the street, so everything I buy needs to be contingent on this house being sold. So in order for it to be worth my while, I need to find a property that's willing to. What were you looking at? Like I said, I'm still looking. I grew up in the Lincoln Heights, Highland Park area, so that's what I'm looking at. So figured I got $200,000 worth of equity in my house, so
yeah,
I could not move anywhere, but I could kind of choose where I want to drop that money.
Exactly. That's exactly the way it works. We put up your property up for sale. We would get a buyer. We would let that buyer know that it's contingent upon you finding a replacement home. If you don't find a replacement home, then we cancel. If you do, we put an offer on the other property. We let them know that, hey, your property is already in escrow, or that you already have a buyer. And we just close it concurrently. So once you close on your Pekin Street, you will close the next day on your Lincoln Heights home.
So what's your fee for it being put on the market? Because what if I don't find a home? I still have to pay for it not being sold.
No. You don't have to pay me for anything. You don't have to pay me for listening or doing all the marketing. You only pay commission when we close escrow. I never charge any of my clients if escrow doesn't go through or anything. So you have absolutely nothing to lose.
So if you want to set up a plan, what would be the soonest they will come check it out?
Whenever you invite me over, I can come tomorrow.
Sure, a couple hours through tomorrow afternoon, through early morning, actually, around 11 or so.
Okay, 11:30 tomorrow?
Hold on one second. 11:30 tomorrow, the 28th, that'll work.
All right, cool. And what I'll do is I'll bring some
All right, so I paused it right there because they're going to go into kind of the appointment setting side, right? So who wants to be in the hot seat right now? Who wants to be in the hot seat? Let me pull it up. Let's see here. The people. Where you at? Let me see here. All right, so where you at, Judy? Judy, you there? Judy.
Hang on. Hi.
Say hi to everyone.
Hello, everyone.
All right. So let me first off ask the question, right? Because you were putting in some good things in there, okay? So that's why you decided to pick you, Judy. On a scale of 1 to 10, right? What would you give him?
Well, at the beginning, I'd probably given him a 4. He got the appointment finally at the end, so he'll get a 7. But I was getting anxious, like, come on, okay. I'll be over tomorrow at 4 o'clock. How does that work?
Okay. So what do you mean by you would give him a 4 in the beginning? Like?
Well, I was getting frustrated with his conversations. I only gave him a score of 4 if we had stopped early. But he got to the appointment, so I gave him a higher score at the end.
I gotcha. So what could he have done better then?
Well, what could he have done better? I would say when he's asking his prospective client what's going on, or are you going to interested in selling your property, and then just let the guy talk to him, and as soon as he has an opening, say, well, let me look at your house and we can discuss our options. How about tomorrow at 1 or 2? Does that sound okay? You got to get to him face to face in order to make the transaction. On the phone, he almost lost it, I thought, a couple times, but he saved it and got it back together.
Yeah, he tends to do that a lot, so.
Okay. He talks himself out of a deal, is what he's doing.
There you go. So thank you so much. Now let me ask you another question, right? What are some positive things that you picked up
positive. He sounds interested. He sounds excited. He knows the business. He knows how it works. He knows what a contingency was on a sale, etc.
Mhm.
So he actually knows what he's talking about in the business. So he's done a good job that way.
Yeah, correct. Because if it was someone that did not know about contingency sales or that kind of stuff, right? What do you think would have happened with the seller?
He had hung up.
Yeah, he would have hung up, probably eat him up, right?
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so thank you so
Does
much
he
for
say-
that. Huh?
You bet.
Go.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Judy. Okay, let me see here. What I saw another one that was really. Let me see here. All right, Grizel said something. Let me see here. Where are you at, Grizel? Or where are you at, Hernan? I see two Hernan in here, man. I don't know which one I should pick. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Hello, Hernan. Hello. What about this one? Oh, he muted himself. Okay, I don't know. He muted himself on his side. What about, I saw a good one from, what about Grizel? Grizel, are you there? Oh, you got to get on the, hello, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear
All right,
you.
say hi to everyone.
Hi, everyone.
All right, so you said some couple of stuff that was really interesting. So, but before we do, what would you grade our good friend Kevin here on a scale of 1 to 10?
Oh my God, I'm like the person that was in front of me. It was hard to hear.
Was it hard to hear?
No, it was painful to hear.
Oh, you mean not the audio, but it was painful to hear because of what was going on. Okay, I got you.
It was just like, oh my God, like, you know, he would ask a question and the seller was about to answer and he would like interrupt him and interrupt him. And then I felt like he was discussing too much of the value of his property without even seeing it. I mean, I think that would have been a chance to get that appointment. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think the conversation was just a little long.
Okay. So thank you so much. So, but what are some positive things that you picked up on where you're just like, oh yeah, he's doing some things right?
Oh no, he got a little bit aggressive, you know, like towards the end to get that appointment. I think maybe he was feeling he was losing him. But yeah, he got a little aggressive towards the end.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for that. Okay, Giselle. So, and by the way, did I know the last time we talked? I think you were talking about the deal. I think it's going to be a couple months now. Did you get anything new?
No, I already talked to him. He owes too much. He
owes
can't.
too much? Okay.
Yeah, he can't. He can't do it.
You can't do short sales as well?
No, he's breaking even. There's a foreclosure next to him that's going to affect him.
Oh yeah, that's right. You told me that. So we have to wait until that foreclosure actually closes, and then resell. Gotcha. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Thank you so much for that. I'm gonna go and mute you there. All right. Okay. So let me give you my insights on this. Okay. A couple things. All right. Is just like if you said, hey, don't cut the guy off. That's what I said. Right. I said, hey, don't cut the guy off. Right, that's number one, because he's about to give you the answer, right? But I hope you picked up a couple of subtleties that he says, especially the opening line, okay? Sorry to bother you. Hey, we're calling you about blah, 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 right? Right? And then a couple other things is that I coached him on was saying, hey, you have to mirror his speed and tonality, because the seller right there he is certain. You can hear in his voice, right? And you can tell he's a type A type of individuals, right? Very direct, and Kevin's kind of backing off, and he's being a little bit more passive and stuff like that, and then and stuff like that. Okay, so I said, hey, you got to speed up your pace. Speed up your pace, right? And then you have to talk with certainty. That's something he's still working on to this day. But here is the thing, right? Is that he can do this, and because sometimes people say, why do you go into the numbers right over the phone, right? The reason why he's able to do this is because he does so many calls, we get tons of calls like this all the time. So it's nearly impossible for us to go out and on every single damn property, right? It's a great problem to have for us. So as a policy, I instructed him to say, hey, if you can give value, give it over the phone. That's what we do. Right? Now, again, you know, in your business model might be totally different. You get what I'm trying to say? Go do it, okay? But in our case, that's what we've seemed to see work, okay? So I'm just telling you that, all right? So let's do the next call, okay? Let's do the next one, all right? So let me go ahead and pull up the next one. So let me pull it up on the screen right here. Bear with me here, all right? And let me know in the chat box if you do you like this stuff. Let me know, because last time I did this, you guys were just like, "Yeah, I love this." So, all right, cool. So let's do the next one, okay? So this one is a case study, and this is literally, it's called "My Computer is Broken" case study, okay? And it goes into, can I get back to you? I might be willing to sell. All right. So let me give you some little context of this one, okay? Well, you'll hear it. Actually, I'll let you hear it first. So again, same as before, okay? I'm going to play the call all the way through, all right? And what I want you to do is listen, okay? Take notes, all right? In this case, take notes is type it in the chat box, all right? On what are some of the positive things that you're picking up, right? Where you're just like, oh yeah, this person's name is Garrett, okay? We're going to have Garrett on here. And as well as, hey, what are things that he can do possibly better, okay? And then keep in mind, score the call 1 through 10, okay? 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest, okay? All right, so give me a second here. I'm going to pull it up, and we're going to play the call, okay? So give me a second here. So let me do this. All right, and let's play the call.
Hello?
Hi. I'm returning your call. You called me about my property.
Yeah. How are you?
Oh, I'm good.
Yeah, I was calling to see if you might have given me thought to possibly selling it.
Anything is possible. What do you have going on?
It just depends, I guess. I'm not in front of my computer right now. Well, actually, I'm at my desk, but my computer is in the shop. So I don't recall exactly which property was yours. I apologize for that. What was your, which house is yours?
Oh, well, I'm sure you can't possibly know anyway, unless someone, because you probably call a whole lot of people. Unless someone.
Well, I do call multiple people. Yeah, I do. This is what I do for a living. I do buy houses and either keep them or resell them. And so it is my.
You can't keep you can't keep up with everybody that will return their calls. So it's kind of difficult. Well, anyway, yeah. Well, I'll tell you this much. I have a 4-bedroom, 2 baths. Well, no, 1 bath and a second bathroom.
Okay.
It's over in the H's.
Okay.
So it's approximately 1,400 square feet. I think it's 1,453.
Okay.
And how soon do you buy them?
So basically, we can close. If you want to sell, we can close on the date of your choice. I mean, we could put money in your account as soon as next week if you want, or we can, if you need to move out or whatever the case may be, we can wait that time. So it's sort of we're flexible. So as fast as you want or as slow as you want.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. You do it that quick, huh?
We could if you needed to, yeah.
It's an option. I don't live there, by the way. It's a rental property.
Okay. Is it occupied?
It is.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, how much are you offering on 4-bedroom, 2 baths in that area? It's a 1954 property, by the way.
It is really hard to say. I know the area. It's
You do.
1954 off of H. Or where you probably got to be. You're over there on the. Well, no, H only runs so far. Where are you off of? You're on the east side then, right?
Yeah. Let me see. No, it's west. I'm on the west.
Yeah, I guess 8 doesn't run that far. I live in Lancaster. I've been there for almost about 30 years now.
So have I.
I don't know. I guess the answer is I don't know exactly where the 50s houses are. In my mind, I see H and like 20th West.
Oh, well, no. I'm right off of, let me see, that Main Street. I'm close to I.
Oh, close to I. Oh, yeah, okay. So if you're close to I, then yeah, I know. So you're probably, I in like 10th Street West?
Yeah, that's...
Okay, there you go. Yeah, okay, I know. It's hard to give you a price, just based on, like the bed and bathrooms and, location. I mean, I could. Sometimes it's nice to see the house and get an idea of the condition and things of that, but I know you're not living there either, so that also makes it difficult. What is, if you can give it to me, if not, I can find it. What is the actual
Well, I'll tell you what.
I can give you a price.
Uh-huh. Oh, okay. The address is,
H4. Okay. Yeah, so that's right. There you go. Okay, I do know the area. Well, let me ask you a question. Obviously, you know the area well. Do you have an idea of what you think it's worth or what you'd like to sell it for?
well, I haven't ran the comps over there lately, so I would only be interested in what's the comp is going on right now.
Okay. How much are you renting it for? What's the monthly payment for the renter?
The monthly payment for her at this time is $12.50.
Okay. And my notepad just crashed on me while I'm taking these notes. That's awesome.
Oh, yes, stuff happens.
Yeah, I gotta love that, right? Okay. Well, let me do this. What was your name again? I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Oh, I never told you.
Oh, there you go. So I guess that's why I don't have it written down then.
You're funny. I'd rather not give my name, if you don't mind.
Okay.
We can talk, and we don't have to identify with one another. In fact, when you called me, you knew my name. For some reason.
I'm sure I did at the time. I know.
I know. Okay.
Let me. Is your phone number correct?
Correct.
Okay. Can I look a little bit further and then give you a call back? Would you be okay with that?
Yes, I will.
Okay. Okay, well, give me a little bit then. Again, and my computer really is in the shop.
Okay, Garrett.
Today, I took it in, and
oh, okay.
when I get that back or see what I can do, I'll once I can, I will get back to you probably tomorrow. If that works for you.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Or you can leave a message, okay? All righty.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
I'll leave a message or talk to you. Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye now.
Okay.
All right, and I apologize for the beep. It's literally deals right now that we're working on, so I have to, beep it out for anonymity purposes, obviously. So again, I've been reading your feedback. Appreciate the folks who've been putting in their feedback on here. So please rate the call 1 through 10. What would you give our good friend Garrett on this particular call? And Garrett has come a long way on his phone style. So, all right. All right, so I'm going to give people that are typing in here. Come on. All right, so let's see here. Let me pull it up. Where are you at? I'm going to pick some names that we haven't spoken with. Or actually, you know what? I'm going to go with the lowest score. Delana, are you there again?
Yes, I am.
Oh, so say hi to everyone.
Hey, everyone.
All right, so what score did you give our good friend Garrett on the call?
I gave him a 6.
Okay, so tell me why.
Because she was just telling him everything. I mean, this was like, what did I write? How soon do you, she said, how soon do you buy them? Mm-hmm. What a fabulous thing to hear. You know, we can buy them as soon as you want, you know, and then just close right then. And then he's like, well, I did like that he let her talk. Mm-hmm. Like that he asked her what amount she wanted. Maybe I should have given him, you know, he did well, and then it was funny that she gave the address of the property, yet not her name, and that she was kind of flirty with him.
What do you mean by she was kind of flirty?
Well, she was kind of like boozy or, you know, kind of, I mean, just flirty. She was a little, I don't know, to me, flirtatious with just the way she was talking. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've never had a client talk to me like that. So she gave the address. It's mm-hmm. tenant occupied. Mm-hmm. All he could have said like, well, it's tenant occupied, yes, yet, you know, I could go take a look at it tomorrow, mm-hmm. or with your approval, you know, if you have the phone number of the tenant, I'll give them a call, let them know I'll be there in, you know, their 24-hour notice or 48-hour notice, whatever they need. I'll walk through there real quick. Just say I'm an insurance person if you don't want me to let them know that you might sell the place. And, you know, or we can meet there, whatever works for you. I mean, she was good to go. And, oh, my God, my computer broke, my laptop broke. Where's pen and paper? Why don't you have your calendar on your phone? You know?
Yeah, correct. So, so literally his computer did really break. Okay, so I know that because I was screaming at him. I was just like, dude, go get that damn thing fixed or go buy a new one. And he was taking notes on his iPad using Evernote, right? And it did crash. And it was just literally, I call it, you know, it was like Murphy's Law, right? When things go bad, it goes bad. And it went bad.
Everything was going well. She was like, how soon can you buy it? Here's my address. She was giving him everything. All he had to do was just like, you know, step in and take it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, all right. So, any other feedback?
I mean, I hope he got it, the deal. I mean, it sounds like you did because she was good to go. I'd love to get a call like that.
Oh yeah. Jeez. Yeah. No, we're literally in right now about to get a contract. So. Yeah. Yeah. So, okay, that's good. Let me go ahead and mute you there. Okay. Mm-hmm. So. Thank you so much for the contribution on that. Let me see here. Let me see here. Who else is in here that we haven't spoken with? How about Edward? Where are you at, Edward? Okay, so Vin. Come on, Vin. Vin, you there? Vin, get a mic. So Vin basically says, was this a real prospect? ? It didn't seem real, man, but thank you for the show. Okay, yes, it is a real prospect, okay? Why would I take my time? I don't have the time of day to come up with a script and actually do that, okay? So come on, man. Like really? Like, oh, is that how you really think of me, Vin? Like, come on, like really? Like, yes, it is a real prospect, okay? Okay, so, oh my gosh, that's hilarious. All right, so let's go ahead and get to the next one, okay? So this one is going to be for my folks who wants to do possibly commercial deals, okay? This is a conversation on a commercial deals because we're aggressively looking to acquire buildings and stuff like that. So I'm going to play this, all right? For some of y'all who may not have any interest at all. But what I want you to take away is this from this call, okay? Is that pay attention to the type of people you're going to run into, all right? Especially when you get a call back and stuff like that, okay? And based on that, sometimes you have to pivot and you have to be certain and talk in a way where you show your expertise, right? Intellectual capital, right? Like you got to have that kind of stuff. So I'm going to play this for you guys and gals. So give me a second here, okay? All right. So give me a second. Let me pull this up. So this is called the case study of upset to friends, and this is based on the 30-plus unit. And bottom line, it says, you don't get it. And it says, you really don't get it in here, okay? So let me pull this one up, and let me, and I think the audio in the beginning might be a little shaky, okay? So let me actually play this for y'all, all right?
Hello?
Yes?
Hi.
Yes. What is this?
Guillermo, this is Dante. How are you?
Okay, fine, everything.
All right. I was calling you about the Bonnie Bray Street property you guys have over in Los Angeles.
Okay, so yeah.
I wanted to see what your plans were going to be this year. Have you guys thought about possibly selling, doing any exchanges? What's your plan?
No?
No? Just kind of sitting tight?
Yep.
Okay. When's the last time you guys kind of looked at the property, see what you could do to get a better return on it? Is it operating okay for you right now? I mean, where are you guys at in your investment cycle?
Well, I believe I have a good return, and that's it.
Okay. What's a good return, if you don't mind me asking? If you return like 1%, 2%, 3%?
What?
Like the type of return that you're getting on your cash each year. So your cash.
20%. Yes, but about that.
Okay. And do you own? Do you like those larger units? Because I actually saw a couple around that area that may be interesting. But quick question: looking at where you are in your cycle with this one, you guys have held it for some time. You've had it for a little bit. Do you see yourself keeping this one just based on the cash flow it brings to you, or do you see yourself kind of trying to take advantage of the market while you have an opportunity to?
It's attractive to
Very attractive. Are you in the acquisitions mode? Have you guys bought a couple properties this year, or are you just kind of just hanging on to this one?
It's just going back.
Okay. Well, I'm definitely always looking to, work with clients that are interested in looking at new properties, and also just kind of taking a look at where you sit now. I mean, I know a lot of people think they're getting pretty good returns, but once we sit down and actually look at the property, we're either able to kind of identify some of the ways to, shield yourself maybe from some taxes, give you a better return on that,
Let's say, calculate.
Mm-hmm.
When you get that, take 25 minutes down to the other property. What's the return?
I'm having a real hard time hearing you. It sounded kind of muffled. One more time for me?
Just a minute. Can you hear me now? Better or no?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay.
I can hear you now.
Okay. You figure out from 2 million, from 2.5 million, something like that,
Mm-hmm.
what the return you can get.
Mm-hmm. You meaning the purchase price or value price? Your price
Whatever you buy,
mm-hmm.
you put 2.5 million.
Mm-hmm.
Or 2.2 down.
Okay. So about 2.3 down is the exchange. Your return,
whatever you buy, you think you know more what you can buy from 2.3 or whatever.
Okay, so what you're looking at, and thank you for going back over it for me. It kind of helped me understand what you were saying. The type of returns that you're getting now on 2 to 3% returns. I mean, if you're looking to continue to manage in the 30 unit of building, because it's a 30 unit, right?
Right.
Right. So managing the 30 units over the next couple years, you figure, is that something that you're okay doing? If it's something you know to do and you have a management company and it works fine and it's cash flowing now, that's fine. But you could look at a lot of different units that may give you a better return. You might be able to step up and get more units to grow the portfolio.
Just a minute. That's what I told you. In order to change my mind, let's say
you would have to know what you're going to do.
I have
2.3 million down. Whatever you can buy from, or whatever you think, oh, you can buy 6 million, you can buy 5 million, you can buy whatever you think.
Okay. So you're more interested in picking up 4 units.
You pick up that and tell me what the return I will get it every month.
Okay. So you just like to know what your net return to you, your net operating income is after expenses.
Right.
Correct.
Out of everything.
Okay. And you're looking to
when you know that, when you tell me, I'm sure you can tell me that right away, but when you tell me that, I will start to thinking, maybe it's better looking the options what you tell me, or better is stay there where I am.
So let me get it right, Guillermo. What you're saying is you're interested to see, one, if you were able to find something for around $2.3 million that brought you a net income return close to what you have here on the 30 units, and if not more, you would be interested in buying it.
I'm not interested in nothing right now.
No, we know you're not going. We know you're not interested in anything now. I just want to kind of figure out what I can do to help you.
And that's what I tell you. Yeah. Let's say you sell the property. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, you have net like 2.3 or 2.5. Average that.
Okay.
And your package. So for 1031. After you try to tell me the 1031, whatever the thing right now on the market, with 2.3 down, whatever this thing, what you can buy, let's say 30%, 40% down, whatever.
Right.
Tell me what the net I will collect on my packet every month.
Every month. Okay. Now, see, that's easy. That's what you're talking about, your return on investment. That's what you want to know. What month? What's your net cash in your pocket? That's easy. My question for you is, are you looking to get more apartment buildings if you exchange? Would you want more units? Meaning, are you able to manage and handle 40, 50 units? Or would you like to not manage units but get the same, if not more, type of return? Because there's a lot of different asset forms that you can get that type of return, but we need to know what you're comfortable with, you know.
That is not a problem. The only problem is, I believe right now on my mind, is what supposed to be how much I can get on my pocket.
Yeah, the cash flow, the monthly cash flow is good.
Yeah.
I want to show you how to get a good monthly cash flow. I want to show you how to keep the investment, whichever one you choose, the numbers to show you why it is a good investment. So first I have to identify, is it apartments or is it like retail, where you're not doing anything? It's a net, absolute net lease.
Okay.
What do you like?
First of all, if you tell me on triple net or you tell me on apartments, tell me, Paul, how much I will receive net after whatever.
Okay.
And then I will start to thinking, oh no, I have this much every month, or maybe it's time to move on another property.
Okay. Well, so basically you want to see what another property, you're basically looking for your exchange before. That's what we call your up leg. So you're actually looking to see if there's something you can trade into.
Right now I don't look at nothing. Right now, I just would like to know on your numbers if you have spending on those deals.
Right.
Just tell me. Okay.
So,
I think
here's what it is.
Conservative, you will get this much on apartments, or conservative, you will get this much on triple net.
Right. And that's what I'm talking about, Guillermo. That's exactly what I want to give you. To be able to give you spread on a 5 or 10 year return on your interest rate. So interest rate, what we call an IRR, internal rate of return. We will show you what your debt coverage is, meaning what your loan payments would be, and how much you would make monthly minus all your expenses. So it shows you all of those, you know, so that way you're looking at all of the factors to identify if it's a good property to even think about. Not saying you're going to do it, but to even look at it. So looking at your building.
Yeah, but right now, that's what I told you. Right? That's what I told you. Don't look at these things or those things or those things. Just tell me average. How much you think I can get for apartments and how much I can get for a triple net?
Okay. So for an apartment,
worth nothing at all.
I can tell you for an apartment at 2.5. For 2.5, what you think your property would be worth if you were to sell it right now on the market for around 2.3 to 2.5, you could buy more apartment units, very similar to this, and have the opportunity to add value. And your income is only based on what type of market you're in. Is it a non-rent control market or is it a rent control market? So meaning, do you have restrictions on how much you can raise your rent? Because I have clients that don't have a restriction and they can increase the rents by 12% each year. Where if you're in Van Nuys or somewhere where you can't, in LA, you're rent control, so you can only raise them 3%. So I can show you immediately same type of units, a 30-unit building, just like the one you have here. You could get one in a non-rent control area, and your income that you make may be $50, $70, $80, $90,000 a month. It depends on, one, how you operate it, meaning what expenses are going to cost you, and two, the other is to say, what upside do you have as far as raising rent? So if you buy the building and the rents are $1,200 and you can go in and do small to get them to 17, then I know. But right now what you're asking me is to pull numbers out of the air, and there's nothing concrete to compare it to.
Okay, well,
yeah. So that's why I was just saying, hypothetically.
I understand your point, but that's what I told you. If you tell me conservative.
Yeah,
conservative.
And I'm telling you, conservative-wise, what are you making now? What do you make now?
No, I ask you how much supposedly I will make.
Well, see, that's the question that you can't answer if you don't have the figures to be able to come up. If I don't know what your net operating income is now, it's not the same thing. I've been doing it for 13 years, my friend, and unfortunately it's not.
It's the same thing. I just try to tell you, before you work or before we spend time, I ask you simple question.
It is a simple question.
Conservative number, how much you make.
Here's your conservative.
Let's say 5 million. Whatever you think it is or is what it is. So from those 5 million, what's the
I'll tell you right
now.
The
numbers you will make it a year or monthly net. You put expenses, you put whatever you think is right. So that's what I told you.
In that same area, I'm gonna give you a real basic answer. It's not as easy as you want to make it sound, but if you want me to, give you some breakdown of what it is, let me give you an idea. Rough. Conservative numbers.
You don't work a lot. I don't work a lot.
Right. Right. I got you.
We're still friends.
Well, I hear you 100%. I hear you 100%. So I'm going to try to answer your question as best as possible on one side, just the apartment buildings. In that same zip code, the 90057 zip code, okay, you could potentially see income, because I don't know what your income is. That's why I asked. If I have to beat the income that you receive now. If I know you make $50,000 a month now, I need to know you need a building that produces that, if not more. So looking at the market, what I'm looking at here, you have properties that are on the market for 4.9. There is a property right here around the corner. Let me see that one. So give you an example of one that's currently on the market. There's a property on Union, okay? It's a 36-unit building, very similar to yours, and the monthly operating income that building produces, okay? So the net operating income that it produces is $197,775 a year, okay? So for the year, the cash flow on that building is almost $200,000. just about $300 short of 200 grand a year. So you take your 200 grand, okay? You got your 200,000, you divide it by 12. Wrong number. So you take your 200 roughly, because you should be able to even it out there. You're going to divide that by 12. It gives you almost $16,700 a month in cash flow. That's after expenses. Okay? So that's where buildings are now that need increase or upgrades or, just depending on what you're looking at. Like this one here specifically, this one is mostly 36 studio apartments. So it's going to be a little light. It's going to be a lot less if you have all studio units. I'm sure you've got a nice unit mix of 2s and 3s, right?
No, almost the same.
No? So almost all studios. Are they about 450 square foot?
No, I don't think so. Maybe.
Okay. So this building here, 36 units, is for sale right now for $4,395,000. It's about $122,000 a unit. Okay. So what it's saying here is $655 a month is the average unit that he can get for rent, and they're 100% occupied. The rents are small. I mean, the units are small, but the building was built back in 1924. It's a B-class property, and they're making pretty good money on this one. I mean, that's not bad in that area, but I've seen some that are nicer and some that are better. With bigger units, you get more income. So when you say how much you think, there's a lot of different factors. I mean,
okay.
you can make.
This is I can get around $15,000 a month, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, 16,000.
Free and clear.
That's after all your expenses.
Taxes, insurance,
everything. Taxes, insurance, your business license, the utilities, the whole.
How much is it? How much is this? Is collect
$4 million.
No, how much is collect a year?
A year?
On rent?
$197,775,000 is the
I
net
collect on that, on my business 30 units, and I collect like 260.
That's good. That's good. That means that, again, that proves my point. Depending on how you operate the building dictates your value. It helps you understand that the person that's going to buy a property.
Listen, I don't collect the money what you tell me, 16,000 I don't collect.
Well, you need to look at what your expenses are and then identify based on what you bring in.
Whatever you tell me on the other one, looks like it doesn't change because see.
So look, you're thinking of two different things. His income that he gets is effective, meaning his gross rents for the year. He collects $372,391 on his gross, meaning before he pays his expenses and taxes. Yeah, his gross. Right. So after his gross, meaning after operating expenses and taxes, his net operating income is about $200,000 a year. So, which means he's paying about $172,000 a year in it.
Oh, no, you're talking because I don't say that.
Yeah. Well, see, there's a difference between effective gross income and your net operating income. The effective gross is not counting the expenses. So you ask me, what do I net each month? Well, if you get $200,000 a year, that $200,000 a year is going to net you $17,000 a month after all your expenses. You got me?
Yeah, because I collect like 260.
Okay. So if you do
every month, like 1,400, no, like 1,300, like 13,000.
Okay. So $13,000. So let me see. You get $260,000 gross income before expenses. Okay. So let me just look at something real quick here, because if it's just bare minimum on what's, so 27% of an operating expense on a building is roughly between 27% and 32%. That's what the banks will say, okay, when they underwrite the deals or when they look at them. So if I did just 27% of your $260,000, we're looking at $70,200 in just expenses a year, okay? So if I'm looking at this as the bank would, $260,000 gross income, okay, minus the $70,200 a year in expenses total, that's taxes, everything. That means that you walk away with income to you after taxes and everything of $189,800 a month. That's how we would look at it if we were trying to get a buyer to buy it. This is how we would, kind of look at it for them. So do you net about $100,000 and $190,000 a year on the property after your expenses and taxes? You see? So that means that if you're not, then that means that the 27%, that means that you're probably operating your property, your expenses could be higher or lower. We don't know. But we look at that with clients. We sit down, we look at it to see where those pitfalls are. So whether you sell or not, basically my team and myself, we sit down and show you how the building's running now, what you can do to increase it, and what you can do over the next couple of years to get the best return. That's the report I show you. Then we show you, if you chose to sell on the market, what it would look like to a buyer, meaning how would the bank qualify your property for a loan for a buyer. And then that tells us where your value is, one, and two, it tells me how is the best way I can market your property to get you the most money, so when you do your exchange that we're looking for, you can already know what you're going to spend, and we can project in a report on paper and show you in numbers what your return on investment will be versus the 30-unit building, and what it would look like whether you bought another 30-unit building, whether you bought a 40-unit building, or whether you bought a triple net. I can show you all three. I can show you what it looks like no matter what type of property, product type, asset, retail, office, industrial, apartments, whatever it is. I can show you the difference of what you have now and the return you get versus where you would be going and what you would get monthly, just so you know where you are. And that's something that we're doing for free for people that are interested in knowing where they are. Okay? Because I know you get a lot of calls about people wanting to get you to sell your building, and I'm not asking you to sell it all. That's not my objective. That's not my goal. I want to just give you some information, do a report and evaluation, which we call, just an analysis of where you are in the market and what you can do. It's free. It doesn't cost you time. I got a whole staff that needs some work to do. I pay them money. Why not let them do it for you? And then at the end, you get a chance to see what you have, and even if it makes sense. It might not make sense. It might make sense on numbers monthly, money-wise, but if it doesn't make sense tax-wise and it opens you up to pay more taxes, then it's about what you walk away with every month, not what you give to Uncle Sam. You want to keep as much as you can. That's our job, to show you how to do that.
Listen, I need to run, but if you want to call me tomorrow, then anytime, no problem.
Okay. Tomorrow, if I give you a call tomorrow, you think we could look over some of your numbers for you? I'll put it together.
I can talk more. Right now, I need to run. I have an appointment at 5.
Okay. Take your time, Guillermo. We'll talk tomorrow at about, let's say, 10 o'clock.
You can call me anytime. No problem.
Okay. Sounds good. Bye-bye.
All right, so I know that was a little bit long, and the training's going on a little bit longer than usual, but give me some insights on this. What would you grade Dante, our good friend Dante, on here, on that call? And I'm going to answer some of the things that that he was saying, okay? And I'm going to answer one. Delana asked, why didn't he use the sold comps, okay? Number one reason is that he couldn't paint and tell a story that's going to position him for him to actually give him the numbers that he wanted, right? Because we already had an idea that this building is the expenses were way too high and it's underperforming, right? And we didn't want to use that. So the comps that he purposefully picked was the top of the market type of comp, okay? And that's why he gave the numbers right over the phone. So if you're on the phone and you're doing this type of stuff, right, be really, really cognizant about the type. If you're going to give the number, be cognizant about the number of comps that you give. Like, for example, right, at a retail level, right, I tell my guys all the time, if you're going to give a number over the phone, you purposely want to pick one of the higher ones, right, because you don't know what the condition of the building is. Pick the highest, one that's selling, but then the smaller lot or smaller footprint of the building. I'll say it again, okay? If you're going to give a number over the phone, okay, is to give the comp that has a smaller lot or smaller square foot, all right? Now, why do you want to do that? Is because if that number that you give out, that's at the top of the market and say, hey, you know what, it's 500,000, right? And the subject property is 2,000 square feet, but that 500,000 is 1,500 square feet, right? Well, you're waiting for the seller to say, oh, no, I might be interested. Or they might say, no, I wouldn't sell for that. And then you have the ability to follow up with the line and says, well, how much would you be willing to actually sell for? And be like, well, 550. Well, I think that's doable because the one I just gave you is about 500 square feet smaller. All right? Or if someone says, yeah, I'll be interested in that, then you have the ability to say, well, I might be able to sell it a lot more than that because the one I gave you is, 500 square feet smaller, the lot is smaller, whatever it is, right? You have another ability to be able to say another line behind it versus you give the exact model match comp, right? And if you say that, then you're literally, you're up shit creek without a paddle. Okay, sorry for my language, really, right? Okay, so you have to, if you're doing anything over the phone, that's a strategy that you want to apply in doing it, and that's one of the reasons why he did not give the one that was sold, right? Because the narrative that he's going to tell afterwards, he just couldn't because the guy didn't want to give him actually how much he's making on the building. Right? So fast forward time now we're in a conversation, we're running some analysis, and hopefully, keep my fingers crossed because this is a big deal, is that he's going to actually sell this one and buy into another one, mixed use, and we're going to be able to get both sides of this, right? Okay? I do have one more, but I know we've been going on for almost 2 hours now, so depending on who's on here, I can play one more. This is the retail one. And so if you're interested, I can do that or open up to questions. So I'll leave that totally up to you. Do you want me to play the next one, or do you want me to just open up to Q&A if there's any questions that I can help you out with? He says, what's this next one? Yeah, so the next one was basically the guy says, we're going to war. I think I should sell now. And he says, what time should I meet? That's what they say. We'll cover this maybe following day because I see people saying Q&A. Okay, so let's go and get into Q&A here. All right, and we'll talk about what that really means. So Q&A, type your questions in. I'll open up for questions and answers that I can hopefully answer for y'all on here today. So let me see here. Edward, where are you at, man? Or Vin? Did you hold on? Where are you at, Vin? Vin, get your phone. Call in on the phone line because you're on the mic and it's not working. So, all right. So let me see here. What about Kenneth or Ken? Ken, you there? Ken. All right. So I'm mute. I don't know what happened there. What about Edward? Edward, you there? Edward, say hi. I can hear you. Edward. All right, I don't know. All right, so what questions do you guys and gals have? I'm going to question, what time of day do you make the calls? I do, our team does it on Monday and Wednesdays, and we do it between from 4 to 7. That's our campaign days. Occasionally we do on Saturdays as well, depending on what list we're hitting. If we're hitting a older generation, people, maybe baby boomers, we're doing it on Saturday morning. That typically is the best time. So again, we're going against the grain. Because remember, although everyone in our industry currently right now are taught and trained to literally be on the phone from 9 a.m. Till like 5 p.m., right? We don't do that. That's ridiculous. Yeah, we try to do it in a consolidated period of time, and we do that. There are other clients of ours that actually physically, they only do follow-ups, okay? So meaning like they send the message out and they only call back call back on the calls, okay? So there's multiple options that we talk about in the training that you can go through. Yeah, so bottom line is this, is that for like the one that you saw earlier, right, with Rima, right, is remember, the time that you call, okay, is just marginal return. All right, I'll say it again. The time that you call will be a marginal uptick. Okay, the number one thing that's going to transform and change your business is for you to get your first campaign done, so that way you can see the power of that, and then you're going to figure out a way on how you want to apply it in your business, the growth that you have. Because remember, the goal that I have, it might be different than the goal that you have. Right? How I run my business is different than probably the way you run your business. I'm not saying one way is the only way. Right? You have to look at both your tangible assets, right, and the intangible assets that you have, and then marry those two together and find a way to be able to do this, right? Like you listen to Dante, he's a commercial guy. He used to do single family and stuff like that, right? Residential level. He still does a few of those, right? We got I think we have like 3 listings and stuff like that at residential level. But he moved over to commercial when the market started changing. Right? Why? Is because it's bigger dollar, bigger money, and he's pretty darn strong on the phone, and that's what we've been doing. And we've been having a whole heck of a lot of fun doing a lot of that stuff, right? Versus someone like Kevin, he's been licensed, I think only like 4 years, 5 years now, right? He's a top producer in his office, and he does the residential stuff. Now, he is an investor himself, too, where he owns rental property, and he owns his own house that he lives in, and things like that, and, you know, cash flow properties and stuff like that, wholesales as well. But again, you got to build it based on your assets that you have. And by you doing the campaigns, you're going to gain the intellectual capital side of saying, this is how, right? How powerful is it for the folks that are wondering, why didn't they ask for the appointment immediately? Why didn't why are they giving out numbers over the phone? The reason being is we don't care, right? Why? Because we have so many damn people to follow up on. So we're looking for the super low hanging fruit. That's what we're doing, right? Okay? And that's the reason why it doesn't really matter to us that much. Right? Versus trying to extract and trying to do it the old school way. Because remember, everyone else is taught in the real estate, especially real estate agents, right? Our big guru world is taught to what? And ask for the appointment immediately. Great. So when can I come out? When can I come out to see your property so I can go and walk me through the property, right? They immediately go to that. Right? Versus trying to give some value over the phone, and that's where I tell people, says, hey, look, man, just give the value over the phone if you can and do the best you can on that, because there's going to be plenty of other people to be able to talk to. All right. So it's a different approach. So, and the big one is, again, storytelling, right? And we'll tie into kind of probably next week or the week after, or maybe the following week, right? About why understanding data appending and getting phone numbers and then running a back-end campaign really helps, especially on a follow-up campaign, okay? Because you'll hear the one that I'll play later on where we talk about the seller is literally afraid of war, all right? And we'll talk about why and how that's kind of playing out and things like that, okay? And but other than that, any other final questions, feedback? Did you guys enjoy this? I know it was a little bit longer than usual that I do, and it's kind of mixed in with different case studies and stuff like that. But do you guys like hearing those different calls with different people? Because what I don't want to do is give like one style only, right? Because if I give one style only, sometimes people think this is the only way to do it, which is not true. You know, the way I talk to sellers is dramatically different than my guys do, right? All right. Now we may have the same kind of structure, same type of style a little bit, right? Maybe, right? But it's really you have to build your unique voice around it, right? You can't be the person. You cannot. I tell people all the time, right? Like you have two types. There's two individuals of you, right? Who the outside world think you are, and then who you really are, right? And when you're on the phone, you wanna show who you really are. Okay, because look, if you're anything like me, where I've heard stories about people coming into this industry, right? You're like, if you're new, you got your license, or you're trying to do the investment side, right? And you're successful in other industries, right? You come in and you start doing this, right? And you're taught to just single-handedly just do like smile and dial, and you're talking to people, right? What happens? You get rejected over and over and over and over again, right? Especially if you're smiling and dialing, because you're contacting, number one, leads that everyone else has, right? Because you're not data appending. So you're doing expires and FESBO that every other people in the real estate profession is calling, and you get beat up. And when that happens, guess what? Your confidence gets chipped away, right? It gets chipped away, and by the time you're done, a week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, a quarter, 6 months, a year, right? And compound that over a year, you lost all confidence of who you were, and it's a shell of who you were. And you wonder why. It's just like, damn, like why am I having some challenges, right? And so I'm a firm believer that number one is be you, be human, okay? Deliver value. Also at the same time, with delivering value, be a human being, telling great stories behind it, okay? I'm not telling you to lie. I'm not telling you to make up some stuff, fibs and stuff like that. No, okay? Be honest, okay? All right? There's plenty of money to go around being upfront, being honest, and being ethical, okay? And deliver that message, right? And when you have an abundance mentality where you're just kind of like, you know what, if they want to come out and let me, come into the house, you know what, it'll be cool, right? Because like if you hear like someone like Kevin, right, you can tell he's not that aggressive. That's not his style, right? He's an introvert, right? Like me, I'm an introvert at heart. All right, so he's an introvert, young guy, right? He's an introvert, and he's doing that. Dante's more of an extroverted guy, right? So he's very smooth, suave on the phone and stuff like that, right? Garrett is an introvert too. Okay, but he's really smooth, and he's soft-spoken and things like that, right? So for him to come out and be like really like a pit bull or sound like enthusiastic and stuff like that, right? Like how like some salespeople say, sound enthusiastic on the other side, then they'll do business with you. No. You keep on doing that. Trust me. It's going to chip away at who you are, and when it chips away at who you are, you're going to be like, I turned into someone that I didn't want to become, and your income typically is not going to be rewarded based on that, right? So again, hope that helped. So any other final questions? We're going way long on this, so I apologize for the folks, but you guys are still around, sticking around, so that's good. So Nancy said, yes, I like the commercial ones too. Great. Okay, cool. Okay. Yeah. So I want to give you a different perspective, right, from the investor side, from the real estate side. If we can, I'll pull up some mortgage ones, okay, for some of my mortgage people. I have some couple other ones even for people in the world of raising money, right? So if you want, I have some calls that I've raised money on too, okay? So if you want to hear that on how I've used this to raise money for my businesses and stuff like that, I may be able to play that later on too. Where again, I'm not power closing. I'm not trying to do that. No, I'm simply educating, right? And I can talk a lot about that stuff. So I'll try to bring in more of this because I think hearing this is I've been told that it really, really is helpful because you hear the different style and then you get to see, you know what, I'm more like that person. I'm more like that individual versus just hearing one type of a style and thinking that that's the only way to do it. No, there isn't. Okay. Remember, there's a million ways to make $1 million. The question is, how are you going to do it with your strengths, your assets, both the intangible, tangible stuff, and how much joy are you going to get out of it? Right. Bottom line. Okay. So that's what I got. This is Jeff Coga. Reach out to me throughout the week. I'm here for y'all. But make sure velocity, ladies and gentlemen. Let's roll up our sleeves, put on the overall, and let's get to work. Okay. Love y'all. Take care and bye-bye. And I'll talk to you guys and gals throughout the week. Bye-bye.